Your Pluto placement shows you where you experience power loss, where you learned that being fully yourself was dangerous, and where you're still unconsciously playing out that wound. But most people never look at their Pluto placement, or if they do, they just read it like Pluto in the 7th house means intense relationships and move on. Today I'm showing you 3 Pluto house patterns, and if you have Pluto in any of these houses, you'll finally understand why you keep getting stuck in the same place. So first, let's talk about what Pluto actually is in your chart. Pluto isn't just about transformation or power, though that's part of it. Pluto shows you where you experienced something that taught you that your full expression was too much, too intense, too dangerous. It's where you learn to hide your power, where you learn that being seen in your fullness would cost you something, where you internalize the message that part of you needed to be buried. And here's what makes Pluto tricky. Because the wounding happened early on or was so intense, you often can't even see it. It's unconscious. You just know that in this area of your life, you feel like you're fighting something invisible. The house Pluto is in shows you the specific area of your life where the wound lives. And here's the thing, these wounds tend to cluster into 3 main patterns. So let's go through them. The first pattern is Pluto in the relationship houses. So that would be the 5th, 7th, or 8th house. So if you have Pluto in any of these houses, your core wound is around intimacy, connection, and being fully seen in relationship. Pluto in the 5th house, you learned that your full creative expression or your desire was too much. And you were maybe shamed for being dramatic, for wanting attention, for taking up space. So you learned to hide your light, to make yourself smaller, to not let yourself want things fully. Pluto in the 7th house, you learned that partnership requires you to give away your power. That in order to be loved, you have to be less than. Maybe you saw relationships where one person dominated the other, or you learned that your needs didn't matter as much as keeping the peace. With Pluto in the 8th house, you learned that emotional intensity, vulnerability, and deep intimacy are dangerous. That if you let someone see you, they'll use it against you, or that merging with someone means losing yourself. What all of these have in common is that you're terrified of being fully seen in your power within relationship. So you either avoid deep connection entirely, or you unconsciously sabotage it when it starts to feel too real. You might attract people who can't handle your intensity, or you might collapse your power to make others comfortable, or you might swing between being completely closed off and then suddenly too vulnerable too fast. The pattern that keeps you stuck is that you keep recreating the situations where you have to choose between connection and your full self because unconsciously you're still trying to prove that you can be loved without giving yourself away. But the universe keeps showing you that real intimacy requires you to risk being seen. So the path of integration is to stop performing smallness just to stay safe in relationships. Your intensity isn't too much. You just need people who can match it. And you need to learn that being seen in your power doesn't mean losing love. It means finding real love. The second pattern is Pluto in the identity and public houses. So that would be the 1st, 4th, and 10th house. If you have Pluto in any of these houses, your core wound is around claiming your identity, your authority, or your place in the world. With Pluto in the 1st house, you learned that being yourself was dangerous, that your natural expression was too intense, too much, too powerful for others to handle. So you learned to hide, to dim yourself, to not take up space. And now, even when people can't see you, you feel exposed. With Pluto in the 4th house, you learned that safety required you to be invisible, or that showing your needs was a threat. Maybe your family system couldn't handle your emotional intensity, or there was power abuse in the home. So you learned that belonging requires you to hide parts of yourself. With Pluto in the 10th house, you learned that being powerful in the world makes you a target, that success or visibility comes with danger. Maybe you saw someone in power get torn down, or you learned that being seen meant being controlled. So you would sabotage your own success right before you break through. What do all of these have in common? You're terrified of being fully visible as yourself. There's this unconscious belief that if you step into your full power, something bad will happen. You'll be attacked, abandoned, or destroyed. So you keep yourself small. You stay in jobs that don't fully use you. You don't step into leadership even though you're capable. You hide your ambition because you learned that wanting too much is dangerous. So the pattern that keeps you stuck is that you keep getting close to breakthrough moments, the promotion, the recognition, the opportunity to be seen, and then you unconsciously undermine yourself because part of you still believes that visibility equals vulnerability. So the path to integration is that you have to reclaim your right to take up space, to be seen, to be powerful, not in a dominating way, but in a fully expressed way. Your presence isn't dangerous. It was just too much for people who needed you to stay small. But the world needs to see you at full power. The third pattern is Pluto in the internal and hidden houses. So the second, sixth, eighth, and 12th house. And yes, I'm mentioning eighth house again because it can relate to the first and third pattern. So if you have Pluto in any of these houses, your core wound is buried so deep that you might not even know it's there. It's in your body, your daily patterns, your unconscious mind. With Pluto in the second house, you learn that your worth is conditional, that you have to earn your right to exist, to have resources, to take up space. There is a deep bone fear of not having enough, not enough money, not enough value, not enough worth. So you either hoard and control, or you give everything away because you don't believe you deserve anything. With Pluto in the sixth house, you learn that your body isn't safe, or that service and usefulness are how you earn your existence. So you might have chronic health issues that no one can explain, or you work yourself to exhaustion because stopping feels like death. Your body is holding trauma that your mind won't let you access. With Pluto in the eighth house, you learn that emotional depth and true intimacy lead to destruction. You might have experienced loss, betrayal, or violation early on. You either avoid anything that requires real vulnerability, or you test people by pushing them away to see if they'll stay. You're obsessed with control because you learn that letting go means being destroyed. With Pluto in the 12th house, you learn that parts of you are unacceptable, that your pain, your darkness, your intensity needs to stay hidden. You might feel like you're carrying something you can't name, or like there's part of you that's been exiled. You escape through substances, through fantasy, through disappearing, because being fully present in your life feels unbearable. So what do all of these have in common? The wound is inside you, not in your external circumstances. You can't see it clearly because it's woven into how you relate to yourself, your body, your sense of safety. So the pattern that's keeping you stuck is that you keep trying to fix external things, get more money, work harder, find the right relationship, thinking that will finally make you feel safe or whole. But the wound is internal. It's in how you relate to yourself. So the path to integration is that the work is about internal work. In this case, it's about therapy, somatic work, shadow work, not just talking about the wound, but actually feeling it in your body and learning that you can survive the feelings you've been avoiding. You have to turn towards the pain instead of running from it. So now you know which pattern you have. Here's how you actually work with your Pluto placement instead of being worked by it. And first, you need to understand this. Pluto doesn't want you to stay stuck. Pluto wants you to reclaim your power. But the only way to do this is that you have to go through the thing you've been avoiding. So if you have Pluto in the relationship houses, the work is to risk being fully seen, to stop performing smallness, to choose relationships with people who can handle your intensity. If you have Pluto in the identity houses, the work is to step into visibility, even though it's terrifying, to stop sabotaging your success, to claim your right to take up space. And if you have Pluto in the internal houses, the work is to turn toward the pain you've been running from, to actually do the deep healing work, to learn that the feelings you're avoiding won't destroy you. And if Pluto is in the 8th house, please go through the first and third option here. And here's the thing about Pluto. It will keep creating crises until you choose transformation. You'll keep hitting the same wall, the same pattern, the same wound, until you finally stop and say, okay, I'm ready to look at this. That's when the real power comes back. When you stop running from your Pluto placement and start working with it. When you reclaim the parts of yourself that you learned to bury. That's the whole point of Pluto, not to wound you, but to show you where you gave your power away so you can take it back. So check your chart for your Pluto placement and see which pattern you have. Relationship houses, identity houses, or internal houses. Drop in the comments which pattern you have and how it's been showing up in your life. I'm really curious to hear what you discover. And if you want more content on using your chart for deep shadow work and psychological transformation, subscribe, because that's what this channel is about. Not just describing your placements, but actually helping you reclaim your power. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week.